Before starting this video, I do want to give a thank you to my patrons that support the channel. And if you would like to support the channel, there are some great benefits for you in the link down below. So with that, let's get into today's video. What's going on YouTube? This is Devin coming back at you with another video today on PubStomp MTG. In this video, I'm going to go over the new Angel deck that came out for Secret Lair. So there is a face commander of the deck with Bruna the Fading Light. However, you could use a lot of different angels in the deck that are legendary to be your commander. So overall, in this video, I'm going to discuss some of the upgrades you may want to consider adding into the deck. Or if you plan on buying the singles, here's some suggestions for your deck that you're going to be building by yourself. However, Bruna is 7 mana. Gisela the Broken Blade is only 4 mana. I'm going to make her the commander of the deck of this video. However, again, you can make each one of these the commander or even another commander in the deck. So the big reason why I chose Gisela as the commander is so that you can meld her and also Bruna into Brisella, Voice of Nightmares. So in Brothers War, they had a lot of different new meld cards that you can make as commanders like Mishra and also Urza and also Titania. However, this is the OG version of that. So overall, it does have some pretty good text, Flying First Strike, Vigilance, and Lifelink. Your opponents can't cast spells with mana value 3 or less, so that's a lot of different removal spells. A lot of people like low CMC removal spells, but in general, any kind of spell they can't cast is going to be quite insane. So I know there's a lot of different things you want to do in a game. You want to make sure you win. However, a side quest in this game is definitely making sure that you can meld both of them into Brisella. So with that said, I did also want to go over some of the new arts that you may receive in the new Secret Lair. Is it worth it for you just to buy them as singles, or is it more worth it for you just to buy the deck so that you can make a new Angel deck? So the first card I do want to bring your attention to is Court of Grace. It just has a pretty cool looking art, and on top of that, when it enters the battlefield, you do become the Monarch, and at the beginning of your upkeep, you create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying, and if you are the Monarch, you make a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying instead. So this art does look pretty cool. However, the next card I do really like with Commander's Plate. I'm not 100% sure on this, but I want to say in the art, it's Lyra Dawnbringer's armor and also her shield and also her staff. Actually, I'm pretty sure it is. Okay, yeah, it is. I just looked up the picture and it totally is Lyra Dawnbringer's equipment. So, however, in low color decks, like for example, if you have 1 to 2 color decks, Commander's Plate is a great all-star because equipped creature gets +3/+3 and has protection from each color that's not in your commander's color identity. So the least amount of colors you have in your commander, the more protection you are going to get, especially in Eldrazi. This is pretty crazy in Eldrazi because essentially they have protection from all colors. So this is a classic staple. Another classic staple in 1/1 counter themes and also in life gain themes is Archangel of Thune. This angel has flying and lifelink. Whenever you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control anytime you gain life, whether you swing with one creature, you get some lifelink on it, you gain some life, you put a 1/1 counter on that and also each creature you control. This is pretty crazy and will get out of hand the more life linkers you have on the battlefield or in any other way that you gain some life. This is pretty crazy overall, and I will say that new art looks pretty menacing. Aside from the art cards, there are also a great selection of reprints in the deck. There's so many and a lot of high-end reprints that I do want to include. The first one is Gaida, Font of Hope. If there was another commander that you would make a commander of this deck specifically, Gaida, Font of Hope is excellent because it's just a low to the ground 2 CMC commander with flying and vigilance, so you can swing in, it'll stay untapped, and on top of that, when you tap it for a white mana, you can spend it for an angel spell. Plus, you can constantly buff up your angels for each angel you control on the battlefield, so that's some great abilities right there just for 2 mana. So I would say this is probably the best angel commander out there if you wanted to pick this one over the other ones. I do also like the cards that reduce the spells of your angels like Pearl Medallion, Urza's Incubator, and Starnheim Aspirant. So Pearl Medallion was just reprinted in Commander Masters, however it's going to be reprinted in this deck as well. On top of that, white spells casting 1 less to cast, so any kind of white spell you have in your arsenal, it'll cost 1 less, so that's pretty good utility right there. Also on top of that, with Urza's Incubator and Starnheim Aspirant, your spells will be reduced by 2 as long as they're angels. I mean, with Urza's Incubator, you're going to be choosing angels because you are in an angel deck. Another big reprint is also Serra Ascendant. For 1 mana, it has lifelink. As long as you have 30 or more life, Serra Ascendant gets +5/+5 and has flying. So if there's ever a better turn 1 than Soul Ring, this is it right here. So as you can see, they didn't have Commander in their mind when they were printing this card, because as long as you have 30 or more life, Sarah Ascendant gets +5/+5 and has flying. So it'll become a 6/6 flying with lifelink, and on top of that, just for 1 mana at the start of your turn. So seriously, this is one of the best turn 1 plays you can make in Commander. Another notable reprint is Archangel of Tides. So for 4 mana, as long as it's untapped, creatures can't attack you or planeswalkers you control unless their controller plays 1 for each of those creatures. And as long as Archangel of Tides is attacking, creatures can't block unless their controller pays 1 for each of those creatures. So essentially, it's a pillow fort for you and also when you are attacking. So this is a good card overall in those kind of decks. Also, they did make some good lands in the deck, like having a Maria Sky Ruin. It also wasn't a Secret Lair. It's funny how it's in another Secret Lair today, but it does have that amazing ability at the beginning of your upkeep. If you have 7 or more planes, you may return a target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. That's very easy to do, especially in a mono white deck. You're definitely going to have 7 or more planes, and you keep on reanimating stuff from the beginning of your upkeep, so this is great utility. Also, another great utility card is Nixos, Shrine to Nyx. Now this is one expensive card, mainly because it has that second ability. You pay 2 and tap it, choose a color, add mana to the amount of mana you control equal to your devotion. So to make this devotion cost worth it, you'd probably want to have 4 more white pips on the battlefield to make this worth it so that you could ramp into big creatures. So that's just a FYI right there. So Nixos is a great addition into the deck and also a great reprint overall. I will say there are also some flaws in the deck. I kind of took out some of the flaws and kind of added some other cards to consider in the deck, mainly because they have great utility. Some cards I did want to mention have some great draw effects like Minas Tirith and also Firemane Commando, essentially having the same ability. Whenever you attack with 2 or more creatures, you draw a card. Getting some extra card draw could get you some extra advantage in the game, just in case if you're running out of steam. You could swing in with some of the angels, make sure you have 2 or more angels attacking so that you can get some card draw off of these options. You do also want to make sure you can get your angels out. Another great way to do that is by having Smothering Tithe. This is going to be cheaper than ever, mainly because of the amount of reprints this just got. Whenever an opponent draws a card, that player may pay 2 life. If that player doesn't, you create a treasure token. So if people are drawing cards left and right, you're going to be making this pay for itself and more. Another interactive piece to consider is Reprieve. So for 2 mana, return target spell to its owner's hand, then draw a card. So for 1, it does replace itself by getting you some card draw, and on top of that, you could possibly save one of your creatures. If somebody casts the board wipe and they use all their mana to spend on it, you can just return it back to their hand so that you have 1 more turn with your creatures. There are also other ways you can protect your creatures by using cards like And They Shall Know No Fear, also Teferi's Protection. With the card They Shall Know No Fear, it's just weird saying no twice, but you can choose a creature type. Creatures you control with a chosen type get +1/+0 and gained indestructible until end of turn. Obviously you are choosing angels so that you can protect them, and with Teferi's Protection you can just save your turn, especially if somebody casts a board wipe or a Cyclonic Rift. I did also want to bring in some angels into the mix, like bringing in Lyra Dawnbringer, mainly because obviously Commander's Plate. I did want to bring this in there mainly because it does have some great abilities. It has an Anthem for your angels and also gives them lifelink, and itself has flying, first strike, and lifelink. This is just an absolute staple in the deck. Another angel I do want to bring your attention to is Herald of War. So for 5 mana, it does have flying, and whenever it does attack, put a 1/1 counter on it. And it does have a great cost reducing ability. Angel spells and human spells you cast cost 1 less for each 1/1 counter on Herald of War. So overall, a really great card, especially reducing your angel spells so that you can get them out faster. But if you do want to close out the game, Akroma's Will is the way to do that. So one main reason why I did want to bring this up is mainly because Akroma is an angel, so it's Akroma's Will for angels to win the game. Also on top of that, it has a great game-ending ability. If you control your commander, you may cast a spell, you may choose both, but if you don't, you just choose one of them instead. You choose either creatures you control gain flying, vigilance, and double strike until end of turn, or creatures you control gain lifelink, indestructible, and protection from all colors until end of turn. So either way, you're probably most likely going to do that second ability if you don't have your commander out, but if you do have your commander out, that's just going to be a good game in most cases. So with that said, thank you guys so much for coming by and watching this video on this new Secret Lair deck with angels. I feel like this is a pretty good deck overall if you do want to start an angel deck. However, if you do want to make it from scratch, hopefully this was a good guide for you to choose which angels and which other cards you may want to put in the deck. In the description down below, I do have the deck list available for you to go check out to see which cards I took out and also which cards I put in. I will say the cards that I did actually actually take out are actually in the sideboard, so just in case if you want to see which ones that I did take out, it is there. So let me know down below in the comments, is there any cards that I did miss on this video, or even in the deck list down below? Let me know down below in the comments. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and with that out of the way, thank you for stopping by.